Hi everyone, today we're talking about equations of lines. First we're going to talk about writing the equations when you know information about the graph. So you need to know this from last year in Algebra 1. Let's go over a few forms of equations for lines. First we have slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. M stands for the slope, b stands for the y-intercept. Next we have point-slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now, m still stands for slope. x1, y1 stands for any point on the line. Let's do a practice problem. It says write an equation in slope-intercept form of the line with slope 3 and y-intercept negative 2. 3 must be m since it's a slope. Negative 2 must be b since it's the y-intercept. So in order to fill in the equation y equals mx plus b, slope-intercept form, I need to fill in m and b. So I have y equals 3 for m, x plus, now I need negative 2 for b. I can simplify this. Instead of having plus negative 2, I can just write y equals 3x minus 2. Now in order to graph the line, I know that the y-intercept is negative 2, so I'll start by placing a point on the y-axis at negative 2. A slope of 3, remember from the previous lesson, means you go up 3 over 1. Up 3 over 1. We can also move to the left by going down 3 over 1 to the left. Now connect these dots to form a straight line, and there's your solution. Try the practice problem to the right, please. Here's the correct answer. Now let's try point-slope form. It says write an equation in the point-slope form for the line with slope negative 3 over 4 that contains negative 2, 5. Then graph the line. So I know that m is negative 3 over 4, x1, y1 is negative 2, 5. So in point-slope form, it's y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. I need to fill in y1, m, and x. So I'll substitute in. I know y1 is 5. I know m, the slope, is negative 3 over 4. And I know x1 is negative 2. I'm going to put that in parentheses because I see I have minus a negative, so I can simplify that to say plus 2. Now to graph the line, I'll start at the point that I know that it must contain, negative 2, 5. Place a point at negative 2, 5. And I know the slope is negative 3 over 4. That means I need to go down 3 over 4. Follow the pattern to the left by going up 3 over 4 to the left. Finally, connect the dots to form a straight line. Try the practice problem to the right on your own. This is your question of the day. Now what if they don't give us the slope? It says write an equation of the line through the pair of points 0, 3 and negative 2, negative 1. In order to find the equation, it will be helpful to plot these points first. 0, 3 and negative 2, negative 1. Now it's simple to find the slope now that I have 2 points on the line. I know I must go up 4 over 2. So the slope is up 4 over 2. That reduces to 2. The slope is 2. Now, I luckily was actually given the y-intercept on this one because I was given the point 0, 3. Sometimes you might be able to find the y-intercept, but if the y-intercept is not an integer, then you can use point-slope form knowing one of these points and the slope. I'm going to use slope-intercept form since I know the intercept. So I'm going to use y equals mx plus b. I know that m is 2 and b is 3. So I have y equals 2x plus 3. Try the practice problem below on your own. Here's the solution. Notice that I showed you all the different ways to do it. You could just use point-slope form, or you could just use slope-intercept form. On this one, since the intercept is not clear, it's not an integer, so you could use point-slope form instead, since we're not exactly sure where the y-intercept is going to be. Let's talk about the equations of horizontal and vertical lines just to review these quickly. A horizontal line is where y equals a number, so for example y equals 2, and every point on that line has to have a y value of 2. So I plotted every point up here that has a y value of 2. There's also every point between these points, so we could have 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 as the x value. We'll still have a y value of 2, so I can connect those all to make a straight horizontal line. For a vertical line, the equation is x equals number. For example, x equals -3. I plotted a bunch of points where the x value is -3 and connected them all to make a vertical line. Okay, so in order to write the equations of parallel or perpendicular lines, first make sure you identify the slope of the original line. If it's parallel, remember the new line has the same slope. If we're looking for a perpendicular line, remember that the line has the opposite reciprocal slope of the original. Finally, you can write the equation with the new slope and the point that it must go through. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So write an equation in slope-intercept form for a line perpendicular to this line, y equals -3x plus 2, containing this point 4, 0. So, to start, the slope of the original line is -3. -3 is in place of m in slope-intercept form. This means that since I'm looking for a perpendicular line, the slope of the perpendicular line must be 1/3. It has to be positive since it's the opposite of -3. Now, I know the slope and I know the point that it must contain. Let's label this point x1, y1. So I have the slope and a point. I can write it in point-slope form. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Simplify this. You don't need to have a minus 0. You can leave your equation like this, or you can distribute it out to put it in slope-intercept form. Either equation is correct. Now, if you wanted to plot these points, you could do that as well, to plot the line originally and the new equation that you came up with, just to make sure they look perpendicular. But it's not totally necessary. It's an option. The instructions don't say you have to graph it. All right, let's talk about using equations and writing equations to solve problems. So this says, use linear equations in real life. Benito's current wireless phone plan, Plan A, costs $39.95 per month for unlimited calls and 5 cents per text message. He's considered switching to Plan B, which costs $35 a month for unlimited calls plus 10 cents for each text. Which plan offers him the better rate? So in order to figure this out, let's first define some variables. So one of the variables is how much he pays per month. That depends on how many texts he's sending. So we'll let y be the price he pays per month, since it's the independent variable. Since it's the dependent variable. It depends on how many text messages he sends. So the independent variable x is the number of text messages. So to figure out the equation for plan A, we know that the price would be equal to the base $39.95 plus 5 cents per text. So that would be 0.05 times X, because it's 5 cents for every text message he sends. Now for plan B, we know that the price would be equal to the base cost for the calls, so $35, plus 10 cents for every text message. So that would be 0.1 times X, because it's 10 cents per text, so we have to multiply 10 cents times how many texts they send to get the total cost. Now let's think about these equations. I want to know which plan is better. If I look at these on a graph, plan A has a y-intercept of 39.95, and it has a slope of 0.05. So I know it's a positive slope. Plan B has a y-intercept of 35, but it has a greater slope. 0.1 is greater than 0.05. So is plan A or plan B better? Which one costs less money? Well, it depends on how many text messages he sends. When he sends this certain number of text messages, the cost of the two plans will be equal. However, we're not sure where those two lines intersect. We could use the graphing calculator to solve this, or we could solve it algebraically. If we wanted to solve it algebraically, we would set the two equations equal. 39.95 plus 0.05x equals 35 plus 0.1x. To solve, you could subtract 35 on both sides and subtract 0.05 on both sides. Next, divide both sides by 0.05. You get x equals 99. So I know that this x value is 99. If you wanted to solve this graphically, you could do that on your graphing calculator by typing in the two equations. So first, go to your y equals screen. Notice that at the bottom you'll be able to see what numbers and keys I've pressed, and type in the two equations. I have mine for y6 and y7, but you can just type them into y1 and y2, as long as you have them in two separate lines. Now, we can go to the graph. If we go to the graph, however, it's normally set to be a window from -10 to +10 on the x and the y-axis. However, we know that these equations have y-intercepts of 39 and 35. So we need to change the window. Click the window button at the top. I know that the x values, the number of texts, is not going to go below 0, so I'll put the minimum as 0. The maximum number of text messages, I'm not really sure. Maybe I would guess that he would send 100 per month. Now the y minimum, this represents the price. I know that it will not go below $0. In the maximum, I know that I need to be able to see all the way up to at least $39.95. So I'll set it to maybe 40 or 50. So I can definitely see above there too. Now let's go to the graph. So I can see that these two lines intersect somewhere over here, close to where it's 100. However, I'm not really totally sure, so I might want to change my window again just so that I can go a little more to the right. Instead of having an x max of 100, maybe I will choose 150. Now it's much clearer. I can see better where these two lines are intersecting. To find exactly where they intersect, I can calculate that. So hit second, trace. Notice above there says calculate. I want to find the intersect, option 5. So I tap 5 for intersect. Now it's going to ask a few questions. What's the first curve? Notice that I'm on the yellow or orange line, so I'll hit enter. What's the second curve? I'm on Y7, the red line now, so I'll hit enter again. And now it says, what's your guess? The guess is not very important, especially because these only intersect once, so the guess can be wherever. Now this tells me the intersection is at x equals 99 and y equals 44.9. So again, I just found that the x value is 99 And this also told me the y value is 44.9. What this means is that when Benito sends 99 text messages, it will cost him $44.90 no matter if he chooses plan A or plan B. However, he wants to know which one's better. We should tell him that if he sends less than 99 messages, this line has a lower cost. That is plan B. So we need to write this out. If he sends less than 99 texts, plan B is a lower cost. If he sends exactly 99 messages, the plans cost the same amount. If he sends greater than 99 messages, to the right of here, then plan A is a less amount of money. Be sure to be specific and explain the entire situation on these questions. Finally, I want you to reflect on this. When is it more efficient to use the point-slope form to write an equation of a line, and when is it best to use slope-intercept form? Please explain your answer in 2 to 3 complete sentences.